Internet mysteries can be some of the most interesting and creative mysteries and myths. They continue to live on even after being solved or debunked, as people stumble across parts of the story and explanations are lost. Number 5. Most people will have at some point been in a situation where they don't fit in with the rest of a group of people. That could be down to different lifestyles, different backgrounds, or even something as simple as not getting the dress code. A photo of such an event could feature someone looking very much out of place, or possibly out of time. This was a situation captured on camera during a small local event in Canada in the 1940s. In 2010, the Canadian Bralorne Pioneer Museum ran an online exhibition called Their Past Lives Here. The museum itself was based in the Bridge River Valley, which less than 100 years ago was one of the richest areas in British Columbia. Gold mining had attracted people from all over the world looking to make their fortune. But when the mines shut down just 30 years before the exhibition opened, many of the towns became ghost towns. Their Past Lives Here aimed to capture the stories of these pioneer towns, told through photographs from the town and stories told by some of the people that still lived in the valley. The more than 150 images included everything from black and white pictures of farm equipment, to young men and women posing with gold bricks, to people going about their everyday lives. Towards the end of the exhibition was a photo of the South Fork Bridge collapsed during a flood in 1940. The following image was taken a year later at the bridge's reopening, and it was this image that captured the internet's attention. Most of the people in the crowd of onlookers were wearing clothing expected from 1941. The men wore suits and hats, the women in smart dresses and coats. But among the onlookers was a young man who stood out. He wore strange sunglasses that looked like something from the 1990s or 2000s. Instead of a suit, he appeared to be wearing a printed t-shirt and a knitted cardigan, and in his hands looked to be a compact camera. The internet went into a frenzy, claiming this man was a time-traveling hipster that had accidentally been caught on camera. The image had not been tampered with, and it was deemed that there was no other explanation. To this day, it is still featured as evidence of time travel, but that's not quite the case. In reality, all of the strange items the man was wearing or holding were available at the time. The sunglasses were available as early as the 1920s, and the t-shirt was more likely a sweater with the stitched logo of a hockey team, the Montreal Maroons. The camera in his hands is likely a Kodak 35, which would have become available to the public in 1938. It's worth noting, he isn't the only person in the crowd that seems to be carrying a personal camera. While everything the man is wearing was available at the time, the reason he stands out so much is likely because he's surrounded by people of a different age group who decided more formal wear was appropriate. Number 4. In many ways, Barbie.avi takes the typical form of a creepypasta, but with found footage posted on the internet, it became relatively famous and people were left speculating where it came from and what the girl in the video had been through. The story goes that a man had been at a party in Detroit and was waiting for his girlfriend to come pick him up. While he was waiting, he heard the sound of glass smashing. He didn't go out to investigate until the car arrived, so he never saw who was responsible for the noise. What he did find was a computer and monitor that had been left in a dumpster. The computer monitor was smashed, but the tower was fine, and he decided to take it. Once he was home, he cleaned up the computer and set about finding what was inside. There was only one file, the Barbie.avi video. The video was about 40 minutes in length and featured a woman sat in the corner of a blank room. She was talking to someone who sat just off camera, but the audio was highly distorted. Even after running the audio through software to clean it up, he could only make out bits of what the woman was saying, including the word skin. He also noticed the woman only had one arm and apparently was not very comfortable. As the interview went on, she became distressed and started crying. The video eventually faded to black. After a few seconds of a black screen, a shot of some train tracks appeared. The woman was walking along the tracks, though only her legs were visible. She then leaves the tracks and disappears into the woods. The anonymous user recognized the woods and went to check it out. There, he found an abandoned building that was in a state of disrepair. There was only one locked door in the house that seemed to have been installed recently and may have led to a basement. There was an old sheet of plastic in the bathtub, which seemed to have been recently rinsed off. The sound of moaning panicked the writer and he fled from the house, never to return. Shortly after the story was posted, 3 clips from the Barbie.avi file were posted online. They only amount to about 20 minutes and don't show the woman in distress. Some versions of the footage also have the letters BIID appearing at a point like a subtitle. This led many people to believe the girl was suffering from body integrity identity disorder, a condition where sufferers believe part of their body is not their own, and often go to great lengths to get the limb removed. It was speculated the woman may have been interviewed ahead of another amputation, which had taken place in either the locked basement or in the now cleaned up bathroom. Many people disregarded the story altogether, but were still puzzled as to who the woman was and whether she was okay. Finally, in 2017, the mystery was put to bed and the conspiracy theories debunked. The woman in question had not suffered from BIID. She had actually lost her arm in a washing machine accident when she was a teenager, which had left her mentally scarred and somewhat bitter, according to Mike Rounds, the interviewer and creator of Ampix, a magazine featuring people with amputations. In another version of the video, with slightly clearer audio, she introduces herself as Tammy, and it appears the video was part of an interview process for her to become a model in the magazine, though she was never featured. Number 3. Anyone looking for internet mysteries will inevitably come across Eratus. It's ironic given the fact that the mere mention of the name is supposed to get a person fired, or even worse, but the term has now entered internet fame. Eratus is a complicated mystery that is not fully understood, but it's safe to say it's not, as was originally proposed, part of some government conspiracy to silence people. The story started on 4chan. In January of 2014, an anonymous user wanted to start a new music genre, which would take audio from YouTube videos with less than 20 views to create a genre of music they called Deep Internet. They included links to a number of videos as examples, including one by a user named Chronos for Life, Jurassic Park. This user apparently believed YouTube and Universal Pictures were controlling his life and were trying to silence his mother, who had supposedly found a secret hidden within one of the Jurassic Park movies. The video was low quality, with all of the information coming from blurred text on screen, which was supposed to mask it from YouTube, which wanted to take it down. The traffic from the 4chan post caught the user's attention, and he posted another video not long after. In this one, there was the first mention of Eratus. The user asked if any of the new viewers knew anything about computers and could help him, and the description stated it was mostly a test to see the limits of Eratus. Many 4chan users became fascinated with the Eratus mystery and began to search the term. They came across 2 posts on 4chan that mentioned Eratus that were made only a few months earlier. The first post told the second-hand account of a homeless woman in a band who got temp work packing boxes. She came across the word and was told by her coworker not to mention it, as he had previously written a computer program that flagged any employee who searched the term. Anybody flagged would be fired. The second post described it as a sketchy HR program created between 2000 and 2010, and the anonymous user was looking for more information. Through the automated captions on one of the Chronos for Life videos, investigators found the address of a non-existent building in Kentucky, which was listed on the band website for an alternative rock band created by a group of homeless women and managed by DJ Roswell, an active user on 4chan's paranormal board. The rabbit hole goes much deeper, spreading across Twitter and Tumblr. All signs point to it being either a marketing ploy by Roswell and the band, or an ARG created by Roswell, which was abandoned. It still attracts attention from users trying to tie up loose ends that don't entirely make sense. But one thing that is for sure is that searching the term will not make someone disappear. Number 2. For more than a decade, YayVideoGames was used to refer to one of Reddit's biggest and creepiest mysteries. Redditors spent years piecing together information, looking into many strange accounts, until finally the sad truth was revealed. YayVideoGames is a story about a man from Australia named Lyndon Watchell, but most people begin the story with a strange comment posted on a Reddit thread asking for mod recommendations for a video game. The user went by the name YayVideoGames and responded that the best mod was the uninstall button. He said the game is great and all that, but it's hard to fully remove all the junk it leaves behind on your system. When asked to elaborate, the now infamous phrase, "Ubisoft goes Steamworks bye-bye, always on DRM," followed. The same user posted a variation of this same comment thousands of times until they were eventually banned from the sub. He also posted links to strange images and a photo of the Ubisoft phrase handwritten over and over. The thread found its way to many communities that focused on all things creepy, and people began trying to investigate what YayVideoGames meant and who they were. Some kind of secret code or ARG was quickly ruled out, but this also didn't seem like the work of a bot. Digging through the user's post history, they found thousands of these strange repetitive comments and ties to a number of other accounts. Many were similar to YayVideoGames, just repeating one thing over and over again with slight variations. But another, titled "Not Sure How Big You Are," was much more like a typical Reddit account, albeit a bit creepy. The user was active in many different subreddits and would go several years without posting anything unusual, before sudden bursts of erratic behavior, which coincided with when YayVideoGames and other connected accounts were active, making it safe to assume they were connected. Looking into his post history revealed "Not Sure How Big You Are" suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome, which went undiagnosed for much of his life, and even when it was diagnosed, he couldn't get the help he needed to live a normal life. He took several medications and was often in so much pain he couldn't leave his bed. He was also an ex-Jehovah's Witness, which had left him with some trauma. As a child, he had hallucinated demons while in a fever, only for his mother to tell them that they were real because he wasn't devoted enough. He was eventually identified as Lyndon Watchell, and friends confirmed he had sadly passed away in January of 2015. Hopefully, the fascination with his story has helped to spread awareness of conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome. Number 1. The Wyoming incident is commonly held up as one of the most, if not the most, recent unsolved broadcast hijacking. The story goes that sometime around 2006, a small ABC affiliate news station that served Niobrara County in Wyoming was hijacked. It was in the middle of an evening news broadcast when the screen turned to static and a strange graphic appeared on screen. It read, "We present a special presentation," and then reflected that underneath. Eerie music began to play, and messages like "You will see such pretty things" were displayed on a black background. Grainy pictures of strange heads with unsettling expressions were intercut with the special presentation message and messages that told the viewers they were ill. Not only would this have been incredibly disturbing for someone already suffering from mental health problems like schizophrenia, but the story said many viewers suffered physical health problems like nausea and headaches, and even suffered from visual hallucinations. This was attributed to the strange note that ran throughout the broadcast. After about 6 minutes, the broadcast returned to the news broadcast about the presidential campaign. According to the story, the hijacker was never caught, and what exactly they were aiming for remains unknown. The story gained traction in 2017 and became part of internet folklore. However, the mystery behind the hijacking had already been debunked 10 years earlier. By 2007, it had already been discussed in ARG forums. The now widely shared clip had originally been featured on Google Videos, which existed before Google acquired YouTube. There were 4 other videos in the series that many players believed to be part of an ARG. In the comments to one of these posts about the ARG, in March of 2007, a user explained that it was a hoax perpetuated by something awful. The creator said that he came up with the idea after reading about creepy things on the site. At first, he just made up the story with some fake screenshots and picked Wyoming because the area in question was sparsely populated. It was brought up again in a conversation about the Max Headroom incident, a real broadcast interruption that to this day has not been solved. People were interested in the case, so the creator decided to elaborate and create the video using FaceGen Modeler and Windows Movie Maker. He posted it on Google Video and linked it on Something Awful. The popularity exploded, and he and his friends considered making it into a full ARG, but grew bored quickly. The video was forgotten about before being unearthed some 10 years later. The explanation never really reached most people, and many people debated whether this was real or just a creepypasta. Fortunately, or unfortunately for fans of all things creepy, this didn't really hit TV screens across eastern Wyoming, or cause physical or mental health problems, but that doesn't stop it from being disturbing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knots, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.